I'm Gillian Ezra. I'm the Head of African Operations for Deezer.
And Gillian, how big is Deezer's operation in Africa?
Deezer's operation isn't as big as we'd like it to be just yet. We're in quite an aggressive period of growth. So at the moment we're live in every territory in Africa except Sudan in a B2C presence. However, we're going to be expanding our B2B presence quite dramatically over the next 24 months.
And you're working with mobile operators, and you've
Yes.
got a certain number of partnerships there. You'll be announcing more of those soon. How are you delivering local content, local music content, across such a wide range of countries?
Well, local content's very, very important to us, so it's really worth making the effort to track down the labels and the artists. So what we do is we work with a whole system of aggregators, and where we find an artist who's not signed, for example, to a label, we introduce them to an aggregator so that there is a direct path to get onto Deezer. So for example, if an artist were charting in a territory, and we don't have that artist, we would approach the artist and find a way to get them onto Deezer. It's a very proactive approach. And when you launch in a new territory, in particular, you take that proactive approach, working with good local labels or aggregators or any other partner who can help you get that richness and depth of content.
But you've also got a curating team.
Yes.
Describe how that works.
Yes, so Deezer is very proud of the fact that they have a local editor per territory. For Africa, our editor is in Cape Town. And their job is really to build a relationship with the local industry and to go after those tracks. Because very often you can get a hit track that isn't actually signed anywhere and isn't actually available anywhere because the artist has thought about radio and they haven't really thought about their strategy beyond that. So those local editors are there to make sure there's a good relationship and that they actually go after those tracks.
You were showing in your presentation yesterday the sort of top 10, top 20
Yes.
Tracks on Deezer. What's the balance between international and local in that?
So, I mean, the balance changes enormously in a week where a big international artist drops an album, but in general it's around 55-60% local music for us in South Africa, and we're very proud of that, and we're trying to push that all the time because that is certainly where a South African music lover's heart is going to be.
So it's actually fairly even in South Africa, where international tends to have more players, isn't it?
I think international's it's actually got fewer plays than local, but it is fairly balanced most of the time.
Okay. And what do you know about Deezer's users?
So in South Africa, for example, I can tell you that Deezer's users love Android. They're mostly using the service through mobile as opposed to our desktop application. There is a very slight skew towards youth in terms of perhaps 24 to 34 being our dominant group. And they're definitely located in the metropolitan areas, dominantly Johannesburg.
And what have you got planned in terms of developing the service over the next 12 to 18 months?
In terms of Africa, we're looking at developing the product in terms of features that are unique to Africa, even billing methods and pricing that's unique to Africa, working on our local repertoire, and definitely working on penetration into the content, finding great partners and bringing great offers much closer to our users.
How do you see the development of digital music in Africa over the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, this is a great question. I mean, at the moment, the biggest selling type of music on the continent is a ringback tone. And then streaming is coming along closely behind. So at the moment, you know, the ringback tone really makes you a brand ambassador for that artist. And there is definitely a huge shift coming to streaming, but I think we're going to see unique models of streaming coming out. You know, services that focus more on local music and local repertoire and target more what the users actually want. So kind of a smaller, more targeted service.
My name's Philip Moore. I am the Vice President for Southern Europe, Middle East and Africa for Deezer. So I look after our business interests and our partner interests in Spain, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Middle East and the African continent.
And we were having a conversation in which you were saying that there's a number of things wrong with the way that music is being sold. What are the sorts of things that need to change, do you think, in order to make it better?
So this is born out of 25 years plus working for telcos, and the way that the telco and the video on demand businesses have been able to capture the public's imagination by packaging products. So you start small and then you grow your bundled package. One of the concerns I have with our industry is the all or nothing approach, where you buy per month for 42 million tracks or you get the free service. And it just seems a lot for a consumer to handle. If we could small, compartmentalise bits and then add, I think they would take to it more.
And you have a second point. What's the second way that things need to change?
So what really accelerated the telco space in the context of trying to reach out to, should we say, not as heavy users, people who want to consume the content on a smaller basis or in chunks as and when. We need to have a much more flexible prepayment package. So currently I buy unlimited access to Deezer. I actually probably only listen to our service for an hour or two a day. If I'm a lower user than that, why can't I buy 2 hours worth of service and then I get 10 minutes knowing, and I listen to it while I'm in the car, but then I know I've got 1 hour 50 minutes left. That's a true prepaid product, unlike buying it per day, per month, per week kind of thing. It needs to be, actually, we're a streaming service which you can take down to an hourly basis in very much the same way like a video on demand kind of content is done.
And your partners are interested in making these sorts of changes?
They're interested, especially to open up new markets, and I think we need to work together and partner both with our labels and the rights holders, with our channel partners, and with the infrastructure and technically the regulators to be able to have the right product, the right service, the right technology behind the scenes for us to be able to offer these services to the public.